JWC Fight Fan made a video the other month about American heavyweights needing to have a tournament. And I agreed with it. I think I made a comment in there sometime. It's a very good video. Because basically, what he was saying is the heavyweights out there are not getting enough competition. And in the UK, we have a similar dilemma where the heavyweights are just not getting the competition. Tyson Fury ducked out of the fight with David Price. David Price is taking years to make his way through the rankings. I don't know why. His management or he knows whether they feel he's got a suspect chin or some type of defect that they don't want to expose to the public immediately. I don't know. And yeah, JWC Fight Fan was right. You need a tournament over there. Maybe we need one over here too, but I was thinking, since we both have that dilemma, I mean, the American heavyweight division is the worst I've ever seen it. The British one, it's not actually the worst I've seen it for a minute. So, does anyone remember the Contender Series? At the end of it, you had about 6 or 7 American fighters came over to Britain to fight some British fighters. And I thought it was quite interesting the way it went down. And maybe they could duplicate that in the heavyweight division. I don't know. You either come here or we go over there. You know, because we need to know if these guys like Seth Mitchell and David Price can fight. And it's not just a matter of skill level when it comes to preparing for the Klitschko's, which is the acid test at the moment. Too many challengers are just going inequipped to fight the Klitschko's. I mean, everyone's talking that Derek Chisora, yeah. He lost the fight clearly. He did press the action though, but I mean, is this what we're reduced to? We're giving props just because you can go the distance and land a couple of punches. See, it's not just the skill level. What it is that big match experience, and a tournament like that, it would get more exposure than Chris Arreola fighting some nondescript heavyweight no one's heard about, and then we forget about him, you know? I mean, we got Tyson Fury over here, the British and Commonwealth champion, giving up his belts to dig up bodies like Martin Rogan, who's a part-time cab driver. You know, it's crazy, man. Like, I'd like to see Monsieur fight the likes of David Price, Tyson Fury fight Seth Mitchell, and I'd even throw Martin Rogan over there to test a couple of your boys out there, you know? I'd like to see Derek Chisora fight Chris Arreola. I mean, we haven't got great heavyweights, but the likes of McDermott, Sam Sexton, the likes of them, they could benefit from that big fight experience, fighting some of your heavies, whether or not they're not the top echelon of your heavyweights. It doesn't matter. It's just to raise the standard up. Raise that standard, you know? And I wouldn't even limit it to just America and USA. I mean, if Canada think they've got some heavies, you know what I mean, or some Eastern European countries, you think you got some heavies, you know what I mean? Let's do it. Start swinging. Africa, you got any heavies? Let's go. I mean, if it flops, what do you lose? You don't really lose much, do you? And like I said in my previous video, is that David Haye and Chisora, they lit up the division, not with their accomplishments in the ring, but what they did outside it. They outshunned the 2 heavyweight champions with what they did outside the ring. Now, that wouldn't have happened to the likes of Mike Tyson or Ali, Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield, and Lennox Lewis. Because what they was doing in the ring was keeping enough of the public's interest that the extracurricular shit was cool. It was just a bonus. but it wasn't the main event. I mean, some of the challenges for the title just be uninspired, man. Ray Austin against Vladimir Klitschko. Oh, dear, oh dear, my man. It was atrocious, man. You mean like he was just diving into the canvas, man? Calvin Brock. How did he get a title shot? You know? Even Derek Chisora. How did he get a title shot? He lost his last two before he fought Vitali. It doesn't matter if he was robbed of the decision against Elenius. He lost his last two on paper. He shouldn't have got a title shot. His biggest wins were against the washed up, and I mean really washed up, ended up on the shore of the beach washed up, Danny Williams and Sam Sexton. No, it's not good enough. Orlandia Solis, great amateur fighter, but his pro experience wasn't enough to go into a world title fight. He just didn't have the big match experience, man. You know, maybe after he's fought Chris Arreola or David Price or knocked out Chisora or took on Hay, say in the final of one of them tournaments, of an international tournament. I mean, he'd have more confidence going in. How much confidence can you have going into a world title fight and you haven't done the legwork? You don't have the big match experience. How much confidence can you have? One of the guys he fought on one of Vitali or Vladimir's bills, I remember in Germany, was some farmer, this fat guy, who was just a big, strong, you mean, like a sponge. He couldn't even throw a punch, but he was just absorbing shot after shot after shot. And I think the referee falling asleep and accidentally waved his hand and stopped it. You know, that's not good enough, man. It's not good enough. So my suggestion is either the countries can have the tournaments internally in their own countries or have some international tournaments. I mean, you can even have 3 countries in a tournament. You can vary up. There's no limit to what you can do, you know? So I'm going to send this video as a reply to JWC Fight Fan. Hopefully I'll get some feedback from him because he's probably just as frustrated as me seeing these nondescript heavyweight matches in our countries. And look, you don't have to wait for this tournament idea that JWC Fight Fan or myself are proposing. You don't have to wait for that, you know? I mean, because back in the days, there always used to be international matches with either fringe contenders who wasn't quite there yet or former champions trying to reestablish themselves. Like you'd have Bugner versus Shavers, Dokes versus John L. Gardner, Brian London versus Zora Foley versus Henry Cooper versus Floyd Patterson, Lennox Lewis versus Razor Ruddock. And we just don't get that no more. And I have to question some of the managers of these fighters because they're just not doing a good job. They're just not creative enough building their fighters' profiles. It's really just not good enough. It's not good enough. Because the common man on the street doesn't know who the contenders are. They might barely know the Klitschkos if they're into sport. But I remember my dad used to tell me about contenders like Doug Jones and, you know what I mean, and Eddie Machin, and they weren't even big contenders. Zora Foley. He used to tell me about Nino Valdez and guys like that, you know? And him and his brethren used to talk about it. And then I remember in the 80s when there was a whole heap of belts floating about when that period started, he stopped really messing with it because it was becoming a joke. And I think it was until Frank Bruno turned professional, he started taking an interest back in boxing, you know, and when Tyson came on the scene. Because at least back then in the 80s, a lot of belts came into the game, but there was decent fights. Now there's just a lot of belts and the fights are just substandard. So I'm going to shorten up the video here because I've been doing some long-ass videos recently. So I'm going to post this through as a reply to JWC Fight Fan, try to get some feedback and a response from him and others and just see what they feel. Anyway, at this point, I'm going to say peace out.